This episode is brought to you by Audi. The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power, serious acceleration, and advanced Audi tech. It's not just a new EV, it's a new way to experience driving. The all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron is here. The next chapter of Audi starts now.
More rewards, more savings. With American Express Business Gold, earn up to $395 back in annual statement credits on eligible purchases at select shipping, food delivery, and retail subscription merchants, including the $155 Walmart Plus monthly membership credit and $240 flexible business credit. Enjoy the benefits of membership with the Amex Business Gold Card. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
Most of us are at that spot in our life where we're like, we wish we coulda or shoulda. The good news is we still have time. Okay, maybe we don't have as much time as we did before, right? But we still have time to do something about it, right? And that's what's beautiful about this.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the latest edition of FranCoach's Franchising 101 podcast. I am Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of FranCoach and your podcast host. Today, we are going to welcome in a guest. We're going to talk a little bit about the franchise brands that he is a part of, but it has been in franchising for decades as a franchise executive, multi-unit, multi-brand franchise owner, and is a brand new author of an amazing book that can help people understand if this is even for you. So very excited to talk to him. Quick reminder of who we are. FranCoach is a national search firm dedicated to working with people like yourself who are interested in owning a franchise. We are partnered with well over 600 of the top franchisors in the country, spanning 70 industries. 2 goals. Number 1, let's get you properly educated on franchise ownership to determine if this is the right path. And then if so, let's figure out what that best franchise might be. So that's what we're all about. Now let's get to the good stuff, which is our fantastic guest today. That's next. All right, we are back and super excited to have today's guest with us. Known this dude for a long time. Great friend, great franchise expert. It is the vice president of franchise development for Neighborly Brands, and the author of this super cool book we're going to talk about, which is Stop Chasing Two Rabbits. Is Business Ownership Right for You? What a better title of a book to come on the Franchising 101 podcast than that. So joining us today is the one and the only Mr. Pat Hyland. Pat, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, Tim. You know, it's always good to get together, whether it's formally like this or not. So just hanging out.
I don't know whether I'm offended or impressed that you think this is a formal situation here on this.
It kind of makes it a little more casual for sure. I love it.
It's cold here in Arizona today. We have official winter. I was dropping my kid off. It's like 40 degrees. And,
oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm at the point of the year where I do this thing where I crank the air conditioner to sleep, and then I got a space heater over here in my office to warm me up. And I don't have hair, so I need the hoodie. So every now and then, put my poor little bald head. But excited to chat with you today. I really want to talk a lot about the book, but I you know this, you've been in franchising a long time. This is a people business, and love getting to know the people and their stories. Give us the Pat scoop. How did you've been at Neighborly a while, but how did you kind of first get into this crazy thing called franchising?
Well, it's interesting that I just added it up. I've been working with and around Neighborly going on 32 years this year.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think anybody actually ever realized that they were going to get into franchising when they were younger, right? And what happened was when I was 25, I moved from Minnesota down to Dallas-Fort Worth to start a business with a buddy of mine. And we did that. And it turned it into a manufacturing business that we sold our equipment to a lot of, franchisees or franchisors, in the service space. Also independent contractors. And that's how I got to know Neighborly and other great brands out there in the service industry. And after 17 years, we had an opportunity to sell that business to a venture capitalist and My wife and I were living in the Dallas-Fort Worth area at that time, and my wife felt led that she had been praying on it, that she wanted to get out of the metro mess of Dallas-Fort Worth because she's from a small town in Louisiana. So she had this vision of getting some land and building a home. So we thought that was Tennessee, that we're going to move there. So we started looking, and Tim, I don't know if I've ever shared this with you. I was actually going to be a franchise consultant like yourself. That was my goal.
Yeah.
So I started looking at different companies, and then I realized I had all these relationships in franchising. So I started signing all these agreements with all these franchisors to represent aspiring entrepreneurs with brands that might be a good fit for them. So we were going through that process, and Neighborly then said, hey, we just launched this new brand called the Grounds Guys. Would you ever consider moving to the great city of Waco? And my wife was like, no, that's the wrong direction. And Waco wasn't cool back then, Tim. I mean, we weren't known for...
Whoa. Wait, are you saying Waco is cool now?
It is still cool.
Okay.
You gotta come to Magnolia and we'll get you a cupcake.
Okay.
But, so we ended up moving down here after we prayed on it. Long story short, I've been working with now Neighborly for over 14 years directly. So overseeing many of the brands, Rainbow International, AirServe for a while. Also, I'm currently vice president of the Grounds Guys, Mosquito Joe and Window Genie. So I have teams that represent those brands. And for those who aren't aware, Neighborly is the largest home services franchisor in the world. We have 31 worldwide brands, 19 here in North America, doing over $4.5 billion a year in revenues with over 5,500 franchise owners. So
that's it?
Yeah, and that's all. And then where I also think it's relevant, where part of the book came from, I know we're going to get into it, is my wife and I are also multi-unit, multi-concept franchise owners of our own. We've signed 11 franchise agreements of our own, and this November, we will open up our 4th location within 2 years, 4 more locations within 2 years. Now, I don't recommend that to anybody that's starting off for the first time. That's insanity. It's just that we've been able to build the teams that wanted to follow us as we've grown. So why I bring that up is we literally sit in the shoes of the people we talk to every single day. Yep. I can relate. I know what they're going through, the excitement, the emotions, the fear, all those things. It doesn't go away on number 11 like it was on number 1. It's still there. Right. We have a proven track history, though, that shows that it makes sense. So anyways, that's kind of where we're at now.
Yeah, no, I just, the fear, I think the fear should be there, right? Like otherwise you're probably not taking anything seriously. And you guys have the proven track record, obviously, as franchise owners, but I just said this on a call right before we hopped on here. I'm like, you have to kind of sometimes think when you're looking at this for the first time is, what's your professional track record? Do you have a long history of miserable failures, right? Or have you found yourself like, hey, this is what I'm good at, and been able to be successful? And if you can find that in that franchise system, it is you kind of have to try to mess it up.
You're not going to become less successful once you're surrounded with coaches and people and teams to help you become more. So.
Yeah, exactly. And so all of that great experience is what's, again, got us to this cool book, Stop Chasing Two Rabbits, which you're like, okay, wait. And then you see underneath there, was I think is the greatest tagline ever, is business ownership right for you. Which, again, congratulations on writing a book. That is incredible. That's not an easy thing to do, number one. And then number two is, I guess, kind of what inspired you initially, because it's not like you've got a lot of free time, right? You're vice president of multiple brands within Neighborly. You own like 100 of these suckers yourself all over the place. You got a wife, you got a family, not a lot of free time in Pat's life. And now like, oh, hey, let's write this book. What was the inspiration for that?
Well, I was encouraged to do so by people on my teams and people that I've been able to help through this process over the years, where they're like, Pat, this has helped me so much, what we've learned. And really what the book's about is really our own journey, my wife's and I, our own journey to get to that point, because our story, and I won't get into all that, but it's in the book, but, I've been working on our definition of success. We literally took the time from one of our mentors when I was younger my wife and I, to have a written specific definition of what financial independence looked like, when we were going to get there and how we were going to get there. Because all too often, a lot of people believe, Kim, that they're going to retire financially independent. Do you know that 95% of the U.S. population has believed at one point in their lives that they're going to retire financially independent by age 65 without having to worry about government subsidy? 95%.
Yeah.
You know that only 5% ever achieved that goal. So that has not changed for many years. So we have been working on our plan, which was our definition up to that point was to have $5 million of income producing assets generating. And by the way, by age 55, that $5 million of income producing assets generating a minimum of 5% return, which is $250,000 a year of passive income without working in no real personal debt. Well, Tim, I'll share with you, by age 46, we weren't even halfway to our goal after 17 years. And we're about 2.2 to 2.3, but something happened in our lives to where our son was 14, almost 15, and was a competitive gymnast here in the state of Texas. You know, you're not almost 15, still doing gymnastics as a boy, unless you're doing something with it, right? And unfortunately, there was an accident at the gym. They messed up, and he suffered a severe traumatic brain injury during a gymnastics accident. And they said if he did live, he'd be on a ventilator in the nursing home for the rest of his life. And that's kind of filtered through there. So our long story short is we said, what happens if something happens to us?
Right.
Who's taking care of our son? Because we didn't want him to go to a state institution. So we did a life plan study out of San Antonio. And 3 weeks later, they came back and said it would take no less than $12 million to $23 million to care for him at the level we wanted. God forbid something happened to Cindy or I. So I have it on my computer screen right here today still. It sits here. I picked up the phone when we got that life plan study. And my wife quit her job. She moved to Dallas to the Ronald McDonald House and took our son to neuro rehab from 9 to 4 every single day for 16 months. She lived away. And I picked up the phone and I read this quote to her, and it said, if you will do what most will not do for just the next few years, then you can do what they cannot do for the rest of your life. Yeah. I said, Mabe, are you in? And she says, absolutely. And that was how we started a lot of what's in the book.
Yeah.
Because you've heard the old adage, a man or woman who chases 2 rabbits rarely catches one, right? Do I go out and pursue our goals through corporate America or a career or a new job or whatever it is? Or do we do it, through a business? Because it's a full-time job just finding the right business today, right?
Right.
And it's a full-time job finding a new career. And the people that try to do both do themselves a disservice. So we literally realized this is the big decision. Do we need to do that first and foremost? Because if the answer is yes, as we go through the exercise in the books, that leads people through for them to self-realize their own situation, then guess what? They'll find the right opportunity. Right. But if the answer is no, it allows them to figure out something else.
Yeah. It's to me, I think and I love that because it's really about the why, and there's not a wrong answer, right? Let's be honest, franchise ownership is not for like most everybody. It's not the right path. But when you can understand that why piece of this, then, any little speed bump that comes along the way, and you guys had like a horrific one with your son, like you're going to be able to figure it out. This is what I want to do. I'm going to make it happen. And then it does. It opens up. You and I have seen it forever. Like the lives people are able to create because they have their independence and their own business versus that corporate job. But you got to know the why behind it.
Well, thanks and you're exactly right. And really where our why starts after we have that, whether it's family, whether it's financial freedom, I don't know. Everybody has their own why, and everybody has their own story, like my wife and I in some way. But one of the ways that we're able to use the book is an exercise that we ultimately, my wife and I just started saying, okay, let's determine what our why is. And what that was we listed out 3 things. And as the book walks people through it, lists out their dreams and their goals, their needs, and their quality of life requirements. By the way, dreams and goals, it's not important what the dreams or goals are, but the one thing that is important is taking the lid off. You know how hard it is today, Tim, for people to start to dream again?
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, because where do you want to go? What do you want to have? Who do you want to become? You want to own a lake home, a mountain home, a beach home? Do you want to have all three? Do you want to travel the world? You know, one of my wife's dreams and goals years ago, until about almost 5 years ago, we were able to accomplish it, was we wanted to take our extended family on vacation once a year at our expense. Why? Because a lot of times family time is most important for us.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the number one reason people wouldn't go or family was because they couldn't afford it. Well, we just got back from 17 of us taking a trip down to Cancun at a resort. And we had 5 great nights, 6 days of just fun in the sun and just kind of hanging out because that's what's most important to us, right?
Yeah.
So listing dreams and goals. Do you want to own your own jet? I'll give you an example of a dream and goal, Tim. Our son, my son, we're from the list with Virgin Galactic flights to outer space right now. Now, I'm not ready to spend the $250,000 per seat yet. And I think there's some technology issues and safety issues they have to still work through. But that's a dream and goal. Me are completely different.
Right.
That's where we got to put the lid back on. Like, what has to happen? Retirement is a big one for a lot of people, right? You know, a lot of people believe they're going to achieve it. Remember, I said the number.
Right.
Children, raising children. That's not cheap today.
No.
Got to make sure. You know, all the way through education to close to get in a car to college. Across the street over here, it's $55,000 a year just for tuition, right at Baylor. Yeah. And then getting married. Our daughter, 6 years ago, we gave her away, and the average wedding it costs to give your daughter away was $35,000 a year. I don't think that's gone down. And then maybe taking care of elderly parents.
Right.
Why do I see that? My mom literally lives 2 miles from here, and she takes home $1,100 a month from Social Security. This November 19th, she will be 84 years of age. You can't live anywhere, much less Waco, Texas, on $1,100 a month. Right. So we're blessed to be able to participate and help her, right? And I don't think we're alone, because if 95% of people believe they're going to achieve financial independence, only 5% do. Think of all of our family, you know, that could be probably be caught in there. And the last one is quality of life. You know, how much do I want to work, travel, spend time with family, give back? Because it's not always about making and taking.
Right.
It's about giving back into your community. And then literally taking all those lists that, you know, a husband and wife or an individual will go through, and then asking yourselves, if things continue over the next 3+ years, as they have in the last 3 years, without making any real significant changes, will you be on track to accomplishing all of your dreams and your goals, your needs and quality of life requirements? Yes or no? Right.
And if so, great. But how many people can truly say that?
Yeah, because if the answer is yes, keep doing what you're doing. But if the answer is no, you have one of two choices. What are they?
You can either do it, or you can make an excuse not to.
Or you give up. Yeah, you give up your dreams, goals, these quality of life, or you do something about it. What do you think most people do?
They're going to give up.
Yeah, that statistically it shows it. And I would ask your listeners, if they go through that exercise, what would you do?
Hey everyone, I wanted to take a quick break from our podcast to tell you about our amazing friends at Entrepreneur. If you're looking to become a franchisee or simply learn more about business ownership, and guys, let's be honest, you're listening to the Franchising 101 podcast, so we know you have some interest in this. And I really encourage you to go to entrepreneur.com to check out all of their great content and resources. Seriously, Entrepreneur has everything, all the way from a bookstore to the best podcasts, webinars, and videos, plus information on upcoming events and the latest articles that seriously, they cover all aspects of franchising and business ownership. If you're having trouble deciding which franchise is right for you, start with Entrepreneur's renowned Franchise 500 ranking, which highlights the best franchises of 2022. For 45 years and counting now, Entrepreneur has been and continues to be the most widely recognized and respected authority in the franchise market. Digital and print subscriptions are available, so you never miss out on anything. So seriously, what are you waiting for? Go to entrepreneur.com right now and learn more.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day, and that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Business taxes. Was stressing about all the time and all the money you spent on your taxes.
This is my bill?
Now Business Taxes is a TurboTax small business expert who does your taxes for you and offers year-round advice at no additional cost, so you can keep more money in your business. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com/business. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service.
And the reason I share that with you is this, because if the answer is like my wife and I, that, hey, it's important enough for us to do something about it, I'm not going to give up on doing that because it is. That is where you use people like Tim and his team to help you go to the third box, which is what kind of business, what size of business, and how does it need to be structured? Why that's important is too many people leapfrog that second box of the yes and no. Right. And they go right to the third, and they think that's going to be enough to get them excited and motivated, when in all reality, they'll go, man, that's a great concept right there. It's a great opportunity. It fulfills all my options that I really want. But do you have something else to look at? Or can I talk to another franchisee or something like that? And it's because they haven't made that decision. And I'll wrap it up with this, Tim, if you don't mind. Because I'm passionate about this, right? Because I live it and I coach it, and I want people to accomplish, what it is right for them. But the fourth box is this, and this is what hit Cindy and I when we had gone through these exercises with our son. I mean, not with our son, but as we've gone through it together, we asked ourselves in the fourth box, if we never accomplish our dreams and our goals and our needs and our quality of life requirements, what would the consequences of that be? And we list those. And who would be the victims of the consequences besides ourselves? Because the decisions we make as husbands of wives, as, wives of husbands, as parents of children and children of parents, the decisions we make don't just impact us. Even employers and employees, they impact so many others around us. Right? And that's the big one, is it's holding a mirror up in front of us, because then the beauty is, Tim, we have a decision to make. Why I love getting this message out is there are way too many people that have heard this message too late in their life and their career. Because they never really even knew that they had a decision to make until it was too late.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think any sort of goal related thing or just a plan, like I was blown away when reading the book about the story and how young you guys were to create such a detailed, specific financial plan. And the goal we want to get there by the time you're 55. And I'm reading this going, oh crap, I'm already 55. I'm a little late. Right. But we're never really too late. Right. And whatever the goal is and however you define success, and I know Grounds Guys well enough that I could point out some owners within Grounds Guys. I think one or two of them might be clients of ours, that their definition maybe not be as much as the next person, but it's hitting their goals. They're happy with it. So some of the happiest franchise owners in any brand aren't the top performers, but it's hitting. But if you can take the time to really identify what that is, and I think just some of that, literally like writing down the plan, because I'm usually not very good about being that specific on those things. But it was, I read that stuff and even shared that with my wife. I'm like, dang, we suck, right? Like we've got to be a little bit more specific on this to again, at least maybe we're already hitting our goals and we are at that success and we have all of those things, which we're not. But even if we did, it's like, well, geez, pat yourself on the back for that. And then maybe it's time to reevaluate. Are we good? And if so, great. But most people aren't going to be like, I'm okay here. There's going to be something else. Now that I've achieved this, what is next? And the specifics of the things you have down in the book are just fantastic.
Yeah, well, Tim, and the one thing will share with you and Danielle, of course, you're somebody I admire truly in what you do, because you have so many clients that come back to me and tell me about how you have helped them so much. And so why I share that with you is, and I want your listeners to hear, it's most of us are at that spot in our life where we're like, we wish we could or should have. The good news is we still have time. Okay, maybe we don't have as much time as we did before,
right?
But we still have time to do something about it, right? And that's what's beautiful about this. I'll share this with you because my wife and I, when we invested into our first franchise, we invested over $730,000, right? When we made that commitment to help our son get to the point to where he was, and make sure he was always taken care of. And people asked us, wasn't that scary? And we're like, yeah, but you know what scares us more is that, God forbid, something happens to us. Who's taking care of Blake?
Right.
And so we went out, we thought we were going to have 2 locations in 5 years, Tim. My wife came in. My wife does not have a college degree. And you know what that means? It means she just doesn't have a college degree.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
But she's brilliant, but she had worked through so many companies that valued that degree more than her as a person, to where she even left the largest company when Blake's accident happened. She was running the largest EBITDA-driven division. Well, guess what? She was hiring people for more money that had less experience than her. And she asked why, and they said it's because of the degree. Well, guess what? My wife, we ended up having 3 locations in 3 years. I took my wife out to a local steakhouse here in Waco for our 3-year anniversary. And I said, Ben, do you remember that quote I shared with you that said, we would do what most people would not do for just the next few years, then we could do what they cannot do for the rest of your life? And she said, yeah. I said, do you realize that in just the last 3 years, we've outperformed the last 17 years combined financially? And then I followed up with, do you want to do it again? And she says, absolutely. It's been the greatest time of our life. We did it for another 3 years and 2 months, sold our businesses to a private equity company, and our son never has to worry about anything again. And the most beautiful thing about this, Tim, is for sure with you today, Blake not only graduated high school on time, he walked across the stage from Texas Tech University, magna cum laude. Now, he still has challenges, don't get me wrong, short-term memory loss, and he's ambulatory, but he has some drop foot and stuff from the strokes that he suffered. But he's amazing. He does public speaking now. And so why I share that with you, and if you don't mind, is that when you know your why, you can endure anyhow.
Yeah.
You're going back to what you said 10 minutes ago about the why is so true. And that's what this book does, is it helps people understand what their specific whys, not Tim Parmeter's, not Pat Hyland's, not anybody else's, but your listeners' actual why.
Well, and I think too, the why, and if you're at that point where you're totally fine and you're totally happy and there's nothing more you want, let's be really honest, you wouldn't have gone on Spotify or wherever you're listening to a podcast to find something about franchising, right? There's a little something missing that you're like, how do I get there? I'm here. And so, and I think we can all come up with, every excuse under the sun to not do something. And I appreciate you sharing kind of the personal side and everything with Blake, and still, and mind you, you're still, kind of have a pretty important job and very busy. And then on top of it, you're going to take the time to write this book to help others. Like you talked about kind of where the inspiration came. What were some of the challenges in your life, personally and professionally, that kind of like could have come up to stop you writing this book? How'd you kind of get through that?
Well, first of all, what ended up almost stopping us from, if you don't mind, getting up to this point in our lives and our career was just the big old word fear, right? Nervousness, anxiety, what ifs, right?
Yeah.
And somebody shared with me years ago that, people have probably heard this acronym, that it's false evidence appearing real, which meant we had to do our due diligence to say, is it real evidence or is this false evidence appearing real, right? So I'll give you a perfect example. We were about ready there. We knew what we needed to do, Tim, but we're still nervous about it, right? We're scared because it was a big investment in our life. And I remember calling a franchisee and validating with the company that we're getting started with. And I remember he was out of Scottsdale, not too far from you, right in your backyard. And the franchisee, we're going through and he goes, it sounds like you guys are still a little nervous about this. And, I said, well, yeah, it's a big investment. He goes, let me ask you a question, Pat and Cindy. He goes, what if we're right? I said, what do you mean? He goes, what if we build the kind of businesses we build, we make the kind of money we get the support that we do from the franchisor, and we sell our businesses for what we say they sell them for. I'm like, well, that's what I'm hoping for. Him, you know what he said though, which was, it changed everything for me. He goes, but what if I'm home? What if you and Cindy, or it's Cindy one day, because she was going to be doing the day-to-day. She's getting up now at 10, 11 in the morning. She's not engaging. I said, that's not my wife. You don't understand. She's up at 5 o'clock every morning. She's going and goes, yeah, but what if you realize you should have never been a business owner? I said, yeah. What's that look like? He goes, you sell your business. He goes, Pat, if you started Pat and Cindy's business on your own, you shouldn't be concerned. Right. Because what's your exit there? When you're part of a national franchisor, what's going to happen is you're going to go out and you're going to let them know they're going to sell your business. You're going to sell your business to another franchisee or someone else. You'll walk away probably even making a good amount of money, realizing you should have never been a business owner, and go back to doing what you're doing. Your wife can't get in a career. And he goes, oh, what if we're right? What if we build the kind of businesses we build, make what we make, get the support, and we sell them for what we say we sell for? And Tim, that was the day. It made so much sense for me that I'm like, yeah, what's really the risk here? Right? Because I'm not alone in doing this. We have a national franchise brand behind it. So that was a big thing to kind of get us going and get us through that to where then we got to the book, and I can answer even more about that.
Yeah. Well, and you guys had the well-defined why for it. And when you can identify, what that role is for each owner. And again, it's a success. Like if this franchise is really looking for me to do the things that I am good at and I enjoy doing, and I'm smart enough to follow a proven system, not everybody can do that. And I'm not a lazy bum, right? I'm going to get it really is the trick is finding the right thing. But knowing that it all not to steal, Simon Sinek, right? But it's the why, right? And it really is, it is all that. And again, the piece that just continues to blow me away, even just thinking about it is how well defined you guys were and the steps that you've given for people to really, it can be painful to sit down and actually write something down. It's real. My dream, my goal is I want X. When it's in my head, it's one thing. Ooh, that just got on paper, right? That's real. Even that can be a little scary. To go through that exercise is fantastic.
And the exercise, what it does a lot of times is make sure that husband and wives are on the same page when there is, right? Because what I found with Cindy and I, she had certain expectations and beliefs, and we thought sometimes I just actually coached a couple that, the husband said no, and we need to do something about it. The spouse said, yes, I think we're there and we're doing well. Well, what it did was he didn't understand actually their current financial situation because he was relying on our husbands and where they were and all this. So I let them go back and unpack this over the next week. They came back and they go, guess what? We learned a lot about each other and what we really have and what we don't and what our goals are. And now we're united. And that's what this does as well, because it walks people through an individual. So why did I do this, Tim? You asked this. Why did I write this book? Candidly, I love business. I love our industry of franchising. And I truly believe way too many people don't go out and pursue what is most important for them and their families because they don't have clarity. And it's hard to figure it out on your own. And sometimes people just need a really simple tool to walk themselves through. And my goal is, listen, I love Neighborly. I think we got the most amazing brands. I really do. But my ultimate goal is this book is not about Neighborly. It's agnostic. It's about helping people realize what's best for them or their family and to put those things in motion so that they can accomplish their dreams and goals. This book's only been released, less than a year. I've had a lot of comments, a lot of feedback and everything, but Tim, I'll share with you the most impactful things are the owners that I've actually taken the things of these books before I even put it in on paper, what I've actually coached on over the years and where those people are today.
Yeah.
Buying homes for the first time or actually doing the different things that they did. Having the ability to take the quality time, the family time, literally having a business, not run them, but where they're running a business and they have now generational legacy wealth creation. Right. So, all these things, and to get those stories, my goal with this book is to help as many people achieve that through this free enterprise system.
Yeah. And I love that. And again, I strongly encourage people, go, I'm guessing we can find this, on that internet thing.
www.stopchasingtworabbits.com, TWO, Stop Chasing Two Rabbits. And you can either get an electronic, I think it's $6. Amazon gets me all of 51 cents, Tim, for every copy.
Man, you got to be rich.
I calculated it will be 7 years and 2 months before I break even on this. And then if somebody wants a paperback, they can go on that website and just order the paperback, not on Amazon, but on the website.
Excellent. So, and you gave me my copy for free. So basically I owe you 51 cents.
Yeah, you got it. That's right.
Next time I see you, I got that for you. Last thing I want to throw at you to be able to share with people that are listening today. And thank you for sharing all of this today, but okay, we know people out there listening, right? They're thinking about this. Is franchise the right thing? What would maybe one more lasting piece of advice you would want to share with folks?
Oh, man, what you just said, Tim, about 5 minutes ago, I encourage you just to take the time. It's hard for people to actually sit down and take, the whole book takes an hour and a half to go through. It's not a long read. And the exercises, though, take the time to sit down and create your own personal definition of what your financial independence looks like, when you're going to get there, how you're going to get there, and the process of that. And yours, like you said, Tim, will be different than other people's. The most important thing is what's most important for you and your family and your goals. So I encourage people, literally, take the time, just stop. It's not that long of a process. And by the way, what you're going to find by doing this is over time, you're going to see the goals you get to achieve over the time, whether it's dreams and goals, needs and quality of life requirements, but also be able to add new ones on. And then you'll even find where some goals, you're like, hey, that was a goal before. It's just not as important now that I've kind of gotten to that time, that point in my life. So that's my biggest piece of advice. Take the time to invest in you, because when you have that clarity, like Tim just shared about your why, then you can start to put a plan in place to either take you towards business ownership or away from it, and whatever is best for you and your family.
Right, but at least you have the clarity and the certainty that you are going, for you right now, you are going on the right path. And I think the you were talking about kind of writing down the goals. The other thing that I think we forget sometimes is to give ourselves a little credit when we hit one of those goals as celebration. It's I got to get to the next. Stop for a second, celebrate those wins, because we work our butt off to get them. Let's take a moment to appreciate them. And then again, maybe it is the to-do list where I'm yay, I got to cross that off. Yay, I get to check I got that goal. Am I good? Do I want to write that next thing down? So I love the power of again, just taking that time and that exercise to be able to do that. And Pat, always a pleasure talking to you. I can't thank you enough for sharing your story and kind of everything that goes on in this book. Stop Chasing Two Rabbits. Is business ownership right for you? Pat, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks again to Pat Hyland for joining us today on the Franchising 101 podcast to again talk to him about his great book, which is Stop Chasing Two Rabbits. Is business ownership right for you? Read the book, check it out. Great exercises in there. And actually going to kind of take a look at that again myself and sit down and do that for me and for my family again. So check that out. When you are ready to learn more and kind of see, hey, this might be for me, let's talk. Let's get you connected to our team here at FranCoach, francoach.net. Again, there's never any fee for our service. Also, check out, we want to learn a little bit more on kind of a different aspect of franchising, the Franchising 360 show, our TV show, every Friday night, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on Biz TV. That's there as well. In the meantime, we look forward to catching up with you guys next week on the podcast. When you're ready, reach out and we'll help you create your better tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.